we bring our attention inwards, right? And then we focus on ourselves. We're meditating. We're connected to the way we feel. And we're aware of our feelings, our emotions, sensations, thoughts, desires, goals. But we're not bringing our attention on the outside. So therefore, we know exactly what we want to create, but we don't create much.
All right. Welcome into the Wellness Lab, the podcast that teaches you how to create your own wellness equation. Today, we have a very special episode. We're going live for the first time. We've got Mike Chang of Flow 60 with us. Mike, great to have you.
Good to be here.
Absolutely. Mike just did a workshop for my team here at Tribe. We learned a ton about his process, his philosophies, how to use movement, meditation, breathwork, mindfulness, strength, stretching, all into one system. So we'll get into that. I think we'll get into a lot more too. But when I was researching Mike, I found out that he's a YouTube superstar. That's how Wikipedia describes you. And I got to say that you don't appear to me to be the YouTube superstar ego that I thought was coming our way. But I don't know if you know what the internet's saying about you. But I thought the internet says I'm afraid to stop.
Yeah, I'm okay with that. It's been like that for years now.
Okay, great. Well, Mike, why don't you just give us a little background of kind of like how we've gotten to be in this moment right now of you creating Flow 60 and going from being a bodybuilder and some of your conscious awakening, also to being a wellness entrepreneur. I think all these topics are really alive for what we do on this podcast and for our listeners. So maybe a little background to, the stories that got you here today. I know we already talked about that a lot before off camera.
Yeah. Well, about 10 years ago, I was running a pretty successful fitness company. It's called Six Pack Shortcuts, and we were doing really well. And we had a large fitness channel on YouTube. We're the most subscribed one, and so life on the outside was really good. I was really fit. And one day, about 10 years ago, it was on 2015. I had an experience where the energy in my body was unlocked. We call it a Kundalini awakening. Basically, it's just where there's an energy that's in the base of our spine, and it's in everybody's body, but most of it stays dormant. And for me, I accidentally unlocked it, and it went through my body. And from that, I had these, call it awakening, but to be more specific, injuries healed in my body right there on the spot within hours. My mind went completely quiet, completely silent, and my body was so light I was about to levitate off the ground. No fears, no worries. I stopped being hungry. I stopped being tired. I slept 2.5 hours a day. I was fine. I went from 9 meals a day to 2 meals a day. Didn't have an appetite. Didn't care to eat, and I felt amazing. And from there, I decided to go and figure out what happened to me, because I stayed in that state for about 2 weeks. And so this was about 10 years ago. And from there, I started studying into everything I can get my hands on. Yeah. Everything that had to do with inner work, emotions, energy, mind. And there's so many practices out there. And back then, I wasn't interested in any of that stuff. I was just more about fitness and bodybuilding. And then suddenly I'm looking into Qigong, yoga, meditation, different type of massage techniques to clear the body. I'm looking into Ayurvedic and how they use food to cleanse the body. I'm looking into different type of psychology, but not just like Western psychology, but more into mind, like different layers of mind. And as I started to discover all of this, I came to the realization that if we wanted to be happy, we had to do a couple really simple things. And for me, it was all about happiness. Like my whole life, I wanted to be happy. And I thought happiness, like most of us, was going after what you want and being successful at it, and being fit, having a family, some of the common things for success and happiness. But when I got those things, I wasn't happy. And then when I had that experience and nothing on the outside changed. It was something that I did on the inside that created that. I was all in to go and figure it out. And now what I teach is a training system where I help people be able to move towards that direction. And the way we do it is really, really simple. Number one, we get the body to be able to relax. because when we do, we release the fears from the body. This allows us to be able to shift our mind. And mentally, we learn how to silence the mind. And so this way, we're able to get out of ego, get out of constant old programming, and we're able to create the life we want. And we do that through a physical practice and through principles. The practice is roughly about 60 minutes. Some of they're like 30-minute versions. Like the one we did today was roughly about 90 because I took my time.
Oh, wow.
And plus, everybody's fit so they can handle it. So it was fine. But usually we would do either 60 or 30. My personal practice of the same thing is about 20 minutes. And we go through 4 different parts. The first part is tap massage, where we vibrate the body. We tap the body so it can open up the circulation. So then from there, we go into strength training so we can exert the body. Because we want to exert because a lot of times energies are trapped inside. Emotions are trapped inside. And naturally, when we get upset, we are exerting anyways. Slam, banging things. So it's like a pressure cooker that wants to release. So we use strength training, push-ups and squats and different ways to go ahead and exert the energy while we can still build aesthetics and strength at the same time.
Yeah.
Then we go into stretching to release the tension, to also get the nervous system to calm back down. Because sometimes through strength training, we stimulate the adrenaline, we get the sympathetic nervous system to activate, and we need to get centered again. So we use stretching to release the tension and to start to relax the body. Then we go into breath work to clear deeper into the body that other things couldn't access. And then at the end, we meditated. And then now we are able to be in a deeper meditative state. Because, we were talking about how we do everything and then the finale is like meditation. Because if we were to meditate in the beginning, or if let's say we don't do any of that, let's just say we just meditate, we would run into pains in the body, mind chatter, and it takes a while for that to go away. Roughly, if we look on the internet, we ask like, what's the average amount of time it takes for a person to get into a meditative state? It says roughly 20 minutes. So it's give or take for each person, but that's about the average. So then when I learned this years ago, I was thinking, well, that if I sit here for 20 minutes and I finally get into a meditative state and then my meditation actually starts, then the first 20 minutes is it's like a warm up. I'm not really gaining anything. The gain starts afterwards. So if I want to meditate for 20 minutes, I need to meditate for 40.
Yeah.
So I'm like, well, I want to almost be done with my whole practice by 40. And also if I did that, well, what about my strength training? I don't want to be flabby. What about my stretching? I don't want to be tight. What about my cardio? So then when I decided, well, I want to do all of these things, how can I incorporate this into one practice so I'm able to get the benefits of everything I wanted? To have strength and all the fitness aspects and to be peaceful and to have a clear mind. And this practice is basically the combination of that. And it can be done in 60 minutes or 30 minutes or less.
Yeah, it was, I've never seen, the whole system before. I've seen parts of it from watching your stuff. And my whole team that was here, they're trainers. They're not yogis. They're not into, meditation like we are. And I was actually worried that while we were meditating for 15 minutes, that they were going to be really uncomfortable. That's kind of part of where my mind went to. But I noticed that they weren't. Yeah. They were all very, very still. And they stayed with the meditation for the whole time.
One person did get up, you hear.
Did they?
Yeah.
Oh, interesting. I was so out of it then. But it was so interesting that a group of non-meditators were able to go so deep and sit for 15 minutes upright. And then when we came out of it, you could tell everyone was in an extremely deep meditative state. And I noticed they were all much more vulnerable and open afterwards in our conversation. So it was really cool to witness the whole. You almost took us like a conductor. You took us through like a symphony, all the way that landed us in a deeper state of meditation. It was beautiful to see you put that all together. Something I've been really impressed by, Mike, just by in the short time we've known each other, is you seem to be able to take from like all different practices, yoga, qigong, tai chi, strength training, breathwork, meditation, and distill each one down into like what you think is important, and then put that into the system. How'd you learn how to do that? Like, where does that skill come from? And can you talk a little bit about how you've applied that to what you teach?
Well, I've always had an interest in solving problems, like coming up with solutions. So I think that skill was something that was natural. it was something I just cultivated throughout my life.
Yeah.
I mean, I would study each thing, and I would dive in and I would practice it, and then I would learn it and I would read about it, and I would look and see what was the goal that this practice was aiming towards, and why were they wanting to accomplish it? Is there a further, bigger vision that they were moving towards? And I would look at that for every single thing, whether it's acupuncture,
Mm-hmm.
right? It's like, okay, we're sticking these needles in you. Why? Why are we putting these needles in me? Oh, we want to go ahead and unblock the meridians. Why? So that everything can flow. Why? So that you can be healthy. How does that equate to health? And so I'll dive in and I'll finally start to get a certain understanding. And I'm like, okay, all right, that's that. And then when I look into something else and do the same process, and I started to find that they all started to point towards a same overarching goal. The overarching goal is health, happiness, and moving towards inner peace, liberation for some arts, not all. And then I look and go, okay, now what was the method for doing so? It's like, okay, that was the goal, but there's many different ways. What's the method? What are you trying to, what needs to happen in order for that effect? Like, is that a goal or is that an effect?
Mm-hmm.
And I started to realize these are effects. Like, okay, it's like, for example, I want to be peaceful, but peaceful is an effect. If you can't try to be peaceful, you need to do something. And then the act of doing something creates peacefulness. So then I started to look, what are people doing? What are these different things trying to do? And I started to see that they're all pointing towards one universal thing.
Mm-hmm.
And that was energy. I'm like, okay, energy needs to flow.
Mm-hmm.
Energy needs to be expansive. We need to have a lot of it. And then I go, okay, well, if it's about bringing energy in, so I should just be plugged up to all these things and generate myself a lot of energy, or how do we increase more energy?
Mm-hmm.
And then I start to study about energy. Then you start diving into quantum physics about energy. And then you start to dive into how energy is everywhere.
Yeah.
And that it's not like energy is there and I got to go there for energy. Energy is space.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, it's everywhere. And we go, there's nothing here that I'm touching. Well, actually, everything that you're touching is energy, but it's the unmanifested energy.
Mm-hmm.
So then we start to dive into what is unmanifested. See, like one thing opens to another. And I remember sitting there, like every time I dive into something I didn't understand, there's a new rabbit hole.
Yeah.
And eventually when you open up enough rabbit holes, you start to see this pattern. You start to see like, what is everything pointing to? There's a universal understanding that starts to develop.
Yeah.
And I was able to have a certain level of understanding that allowed me to operate life differently. There's so much more to learn. I mean, golly, there's so much. But there's just enough that I was able to grasp onto that gives me enough information for me to operate life and to deal with all of the challenges of life and to not be upset and not be so disturbed when things don't go my way. When I don't get what I want, when things are really stressful or challenging, I can handle it now. And there's so much things in life that I don't understand, but I have enough understanding because that was my goal. My goal isn't to understand everything. I mean, never be done.
Mm-hmm.
My goal is what can I learn enough of so that I can be happy?
Yeah.
So I can have peace. Because I knew that I can't control the things on the outside. I can't control people and what they do. And I can't control the outcome of things. But what I could control is my response to it.
Mm-hmm.
So how can I respond to everything in a peaceful manner, in a centered manner, and not be so emotionally disturbed or stressful or afraid? And how can I decrease that as much as possible?
Yeah.
And that's what I was researching in for every single type of methods out there, many, many different ones. And so until I started to have a universal understanding, and it had to do with energy. Energy needs to flow in the body. And when energy flows in the body, our mind, our awareness expands.
Mm-hmm.
But energy is always around. So then there are frequencies of energy, high frequencies and low frequencies. But if there are high frequencies and low frequencies, then what determines which one is in here? Right?
Yeah.
Well, the body is like a container of energy, like a bottle, like a water bottle, right? The type of bottle determines what is held in there. So this body, if I want to have a lot of energy, I have to keep it clean. If I want high frequency energy, I got to go ahead and keep it clean. And then I started to study religion where they talk about cleanliness, cleaning the body and how the body is like the temple of God. I'm like, oh, so that's what it means. Because if you just read it straight up, it might be a little confusing. What does that mean? The body is the temple of God. God resides in me. How? Is there a little man inside, or how does that work? But then I go, okay, so the temple of God, this body, when the body is cleansed and clean, we can hold on to higher frequency energy, higher amounts of energy, and higher levels of frequency. And then when we have this high frequency of energy able to circulate in the body, our awareness is more expansive. So when our awareness is more expansive, we move towards seeing the world in more God-like. Versus when our awareness is compressed and shrunken down, we are less aware of things and we are seeing more of my life, my wants, my desires, and therefore we are not like less God-like. I mean, God is everything, but we can say we are more ego, or we feel more separated, and we feel more worried, stressful, things like that.
And all of those are lower frequency realities that you're referring to.
Yeah.
I can even hear in your voice when you started, you kind of went down into, it's like, oh, there's not as much energy there. There's not as much juice.
Yeah.
What do you think is what are all these, not religions, these practices pointing to? Is it liberation? Is it freedom? What have you kind of seen as your one through line between all of them?
I think they explain the same thing. There's so many, and that's another confusing thing. There's so many different words to explain the same thing.
Chi, prana, energy.
Yeah. It's like freedom, liberation, nirvana, moksha. And it's like, it's like, oh, what this means, it has like slight difference, and it makes it really confusing.
Yeah. It's like, I hear you're not trying to be good at these things just to be good at them, is what I'm hearing instantly. You're not doing yoga just to be good at yoga. It's like, no, why am I doing this? What is the point?
Yeah. I would only study into nirvana just to be able to have a certain understanding. I don't care to know where it came from, who invented it, and I don't care. I don't care to try to be smart at those things, because I have a very clear intention. I just want to be happy. I just want to be peaceful. I just want to be able to do what I want and not constantly deal with anxiety and anger and rage. I had so much rage growing up.
Yeah. Yeah. Same.
So much.
Yeah.
And it's like to not have to constantly have that come up and be triggered by it. That's freedom. That's real freedom. Shit happens all the time. I've got so much pressure. I was just telling you before we started about how my life is so chaotic, and I'm not angry. It's like back then, life compared to now was so easy, and I'm here being triggered left and right, stressful about this, angry about that. And if I was the way that I was before with my current life right now, I'd kill somebody. I would be in a fight. I would be destroying everything. That's how much rage I had. And to now be able to handle the things that I do on a daily basis, between my 10-month-old and my 3.5-month-old, my wife, my 75-year-old mother who's disabled in a wheelchair, and traveling and full-blown business. It's like every single day, so much stuff. And to be okay and to just be present and just enjoy. Things happen, great. I mess up on things. Things don't happen. They don't work out. No big deal. Just move forward. What do I need to do now? There's no drama. And it's a blessing. Like, I want everybody to experience that, because that's what people are really, really wanting. People want to be happy, but they don't have a understanding of what it takes to get there.
Yeah.
There's not one path, as we all know.
There's infinite, right? There's 8 billion people, meaning there's 8 billion ways to do it. And I mean, that's why when you even refer to it, it's like the wellness equation is like, sounds like you were told, hey, do this thing, do this thing, do this thing. And at the end, it's going to equal happiness. And you did that and you got to the end and you go, wait a second, this equation's broken. Like 1 + 1 didn't equal 2. I think that's a beautiful place to get to. We were talking beforehand of like, we're like bad's not bad enough yet, right? We got to get to a lower baseline. It's like, but you got there and then you go, okay, wait, well, I've never even thought about what makes me happy. I never thought about what makes Mike tick. Oh, well, what if I put happiness and peace and freedom and less anger on there? Like, oh, that's a total different equation that you actually got to start to create on your own, or call it lifescaping. It's like, oh, let's start to trim this over here. Yeah. It sounds like through pain and through hitting some rock bottoms in your life that you were able to analyze what that equation was for you and then what you wanted to put in there. And then you went and figured out how to do it. That's what it sounds like.
Yeah. And also pursue what I want, because I was always passionate about fitness. I was always passionate about helping people. So sometimes when people are going after what they want, sometimes they think what they want is not the right thing. Mm-hmm. Maybe or maybe not. There's a chance that maybe it's exactly the right thing, but it's just that you have to take a step back and clear some things within yourself. And then when you come back and go after that same exact thing, you will be able to do it slightly different and you'll feel fulfillment from it. You'll feel happy. You're able to move forward so much more. And that's a big thing. Because sometimes when people think about happiness, because, when we hear somebody go, it's not about work, it's not about business, not about that stuff. It's about family, gratefulness, and yeah, but it's also about the ability for somebody to have purpose, for a reason to be alive.
Get up in the morning and go do it like with passion.
Yeah, it's like we love family, but some people sometimes aren't driven to. Let me wake up and go play with my kids. Yeah, but then what are you gonna do after an hour? You're going to play for 10 hours a day? I mean, some people, maybe that's fine for them. But I know for me, it's like after a certain amount of time, I want to go and do something else because I'm not just driven with playing with kids. Like, I'm here to do something else.
Yeah.
And people are here to be driven through purpose. And we can say purpose is work, and same thing. And so happiness is also being able to do the work that people want, and to be able to stay focused in it, to be able to work hard, to be able to put themselves out there. Like, that's also happiness, because I don't feel like it's setting up. People usually look at that as a bad thing. And I understand why they look at it as a bad thing, because so often people focus so much on it to where they let their health go. They're miserable and then they're doing it. So then people go to the other extreme and go, you work so much, it's not about work, learn how to enjoy the flowers. Yeah. And then after that, stage 3, then you come back and then you're working again. And this time you have balance.
Yeah.
So
I had to do that. I started my career in corporate sales, and all I wanted to do is be rich and successful. And I turned out to just be a big asshole. And then that's how I got into yoga, because I was so stressed I could barely function. And then I got into yoga, and then I quit my corporate job, and I traveled the world, and I sold everything I owned. And then I realized, okay, now I'm broke, and now I'm miserable because I'm broke, but I'm happy. And I was like, wait a second, neither of these realities worked.
Yeah.
So not everyone has to do this, but I had to go to the extreme of both to then find center. I go, oh, I want happiness and wealth and purpose. And I can bring those together into one reality, or I can bring God in the physical form down into one reality. And when I can touch that, it's like, oh, for me, that feels like liberation. That feels happiness. I can feel it on my chest now. It's like, that's a unique thing. But again, that was my experience. Yours is different. Someone listening, something else. But I think
we're going to go through a similar process.
Yeah, it sounds like it. Yeah.
It's like a different life, but the same process. I let go of everything and I went traveling. And that's why I started to recognize those stages. Somebody doesn't have to go traveling. They may not have to let go of everything, but they do have to take their attention inwards. Because a person, they start off and they're young and they go, I want to make a name for myself. I want to go be successful. I want to be independent. I want to stop using my parents' money. I want to work and make money and serve, right? Create. So then they go off and they do that. And then at some point, they're focusing so much on that they are really attached to it. They're attached to it. Their identity is based on it. Their happiness is based on the success or the failure of it. And they go, okay, I need to now walk away from this. I need to detach. Now, some people detach by selling their companies, walking away from their work, while other people maintain the minimum in what they're doing, and they bring all of their attention inwards as much as possible to discover who they are. Either way, there has to be that process of going inwards to connect to themselves. Because oftentimes when we're focusing so much on creating, we're not connecting to ourselves.
Yeah.
And that's why I started to understand about outer presence and inner presence. Outer presence, creating things on the outside, needed, because if you're not present with outside, you're not able to create things in this physical world.
Yeah.
Now, on the other hand, if we're focused so much on the outside, we could create a lot and not be happy with what we create.
Feel empty and like, why?
No fulfillment.
Yeah.
And then vice versa. We bring our attention inwards, right? And then we focus on ourselves. We're meditating. We're connected to the way we feel. And we're aware of our feelings, our emotions, sensations, thoughts, desires, goals. But we're not bringing our attention on the outside. So therefore, we know exactly what we want to create, but we don't create much. So then this balance of outer presence, inner presence, to be able to switch between the two and to be able to have that ability is so important. Switch on the outside when we need to and the inside. So then the way I realize is every morning when we do practice, so I do my practice, we go inwards. So this way we can connect to ourselves, clear everything, mind clear, body clear, ready to go. Now, after that, work time, bring the attention outwards. Focused on connecting to people, doing the work, doing the tasks, and then only pockets throughout the day, bring it inwards to make sure we have clarity, make sure that we can let go of something that felt stressful and pressure. But pockets of time, we go inwards. But most of the time, we're outwards getting things done. After work, we're now before bed, go inwards. Clear everything. Clear the physical emotions and the tension inside, clear our mind, come back to center, and then we go to sleep. And then the cycle repeats.
It sounds like you are describing like an ebb and flow to life. It's like, okay, first I start the day by going inward, and I would call it priming.
Yeah.
I prime my pump. How do I want to think or feel or be in the world today? And that can change, and then go out and then go create it. But then having some kind of anchor or some kind of intention to go back to, oh, you know what? I'm off track. Today's not going how I envisioned it. What can I do to get back to that? It sounds like what you're saying then. Was there a quick trick or a quick technique I can do to recenter?
Yeah, like if we're feeling tense or if we got some type of stress that something just happened and we don't got time to go do a full practice.
Yeah.
We may not even have time to walk away. And that's what I was sharing earlier today. Like take 60 seconds and do a short little practice. And it's different for each person. It could be a little bit of stretching, like what we did before this podcast. It could be a little shaking. It might just be sitting there at their desk, right? They're on their computer. They need 60 seconds. Stop, and they can go ahead and take some breaths, or they can go ahead and charge up their hands, or then they can do some face massages. And then right there in 60 seconds, they got rid of tension. They were able to relax the nervous system and especially release the pressure in their head and face.
Yeah.
And now they have clarity and they go back to work. And they can do that throughout the day.
So you can do that as many times as you want.
Yeah.
I love the one I just sit there and I put my stress in my hands. I go, and I throw it. And you can see I can usually even have the hair on my arm start to stand up because it's like, oh, that tension's real.
Yeah.
That tension is energy. It's stuck energy in me, and I just moved it out. And as we were saying earlier with the workshop, it's like if I make a part of me feel lighter, then all of me gets lighter.
Yep.
And it's like I can even feel how differently I'm talking to you now. Like, oh, I'm getting more animated with my hands.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, I'm smiling more. It's like, oh, because even though we're energized, it's still, as you were talking, kind of brought me down. So we can then recharge throughout the day. Yeah. But then what I really like what you're saying there is that at nighttime, almost like priming yourself for sleep, for like optimal recovery, so that the traumas and the dramas of the day aren't with me as I'm getting ready for the next day. You're almost like leaving those
like we're not programming it into our body.
Yeah.
Because subconscious programming, when we go to sleep and we carry things in our body, we end up programming it throughout the night. And if you think about it, at night, we have 7 hours, for example. And during that 7 hours, what we're feeling in the body is what we're going to remember in the body. So what do we want to feel in the body? If I want to feel peaceful, then feel peaceful right before bed. And then I program that feeling. If I want to feel stressful, then feel stressful before bed. and then you'll program that feeling into the body.
This lands on me of like, don't go to sleep with your partner angry. Like the way you just said that, it's like, oh man, it's like then I'm programming myself to wake up in the morning and be angry with my wife or vice versa. And to have the conscious ability to say, no, I don't want to feel like that. I want to go to sleep with love in my heart.
Right.
I want to go to sleep with peace in my heart. I want to go to sleep and tell my subconscious to work on these challenges. Hey, do me a favor and go figure these out while I'm sleeping so I can wake up tomorrow ready. That's 8 hours of free work.
Speaking of that, have you ever tried this technique where if you have any conflicts with your wife, you can hug it out? All you do is it's really simple, right? Everybody should try this. It works amazing. All you do is just hug your partner.
Okay.
And you just keep hugging them until you're not angry anymore. That's it. Now, the difficult part is either you initiating it or she's initiating it, right? And actually staying there. Because when you're angry, I don't want to hug you right now.
Oh yeah.
But if they did, it goes away.
I could feel myself wanting to laugh and like joke and like, bypassing it that way or something.
Yeah, people will find all kinds of ways, but try it. If you want the fastest way, the fastest way to let go, because any other way, there might be something that's going to create and rough up the feathers. But just don't say anything and just hug. Within a few minutes, you'll feel it. The body starts to let go. And then it becomes, all right, yeah, that's right. I love you. All right. We're not even thinking of this, thinking of that. We're just there embracing. And then from there, if there's some discussion that's needed, you discuss again. You start up again in this nice, loving state. And sometimes there's not even, here's the interesting thing. Sometimes there's nothing needed to be said. It's like, I just realized that I was just trying to, we were just talking about this because I was trying to be right. I was trying to get you to see my point, but cares.
Yeah.
Cares if you agree with me.
Yeah.
And then, but we come to that realization once we're not upset anymore. So yeah, try that out. So
wondering, like, could you do that with yourself? Like, I'm really angry at myself right now. Like, what if I just held myself and said, all right, Nick, I'm just going to hold you until you feel better. I never tried. I bet you it'll work. Just, all right, I don't know. No, there's no way to act or just get in there. Some self-love. That's good. We're joking a little, but look how simple it is to make a technique work. It's like, if it works, it works.
Yeah.
If it works, use it. If it doesn't work, don't use it. And anything can be a technique. Yeah. Silly when my wife and I do, if one of us is upset or whatever, one of us raises our hand. And my wife goes, yes, Nick? And I go, oh, I would like some attention. Just almost like a child. And she'll come over and give me attention. And it's like, what a silly technique we learned from a 5-year-old.
Yeah.
And it works. It's done wonders for our marriage. Oh, I would like some attention. It's wild. And, I just like how we have access to so many ways to be happy. Well, we have access to so many ways to be in joy. And you were talking earlier with my team, like our world is pretty much designed to do everything but that. Yeah. It's designed to keep us in fear. It's designed to keep us afraid. It's designed to keep us in this world that's constricted, right? And what I've noticed from sitting with you today is your energy doesn't stop flowing. In the 6 hours we've been together, you haven't yawned, you haven't needed a break. You could do this all day. And what is that, Mike? Like, how are you harnessing this type of energy and presence consistently?
So people ask me that a lot because they start to notice that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because when I do talks and I'll be on stage and I'll do the talk, and then usually people get off and they talk for like 10, 15 minutes to people, and then they go to the speaker lounge or something.
Yep.
I'll just keep going for hours. I'll just be in a crowd and just keep going, just like what we did today.
Hey, you weren't going to leave. No.
Until, we were setting up here and I just kept going, hey guys, and this and this and this and this. So here's what I realized. I used to get in the way of my expression so much. I used to get in the way. I used to care. I used to care so much about what I say. I used to think about what I say. The thinking, the caring, that in itself is the resistance.
Yeah. Because like a restrictor valve.
Yeah, exactly. So now I don't think very often about what I say. I just talk. I don't care about how it really sounds. I just speak. And therefore, it's so easy to express. And then what happens is it's like the valve opens up and now there's a flow of expression. There's a flow of dialogue. And that makes it so much easier. And now it appears that I have more energy. But in reality, it's just that no energy is wasted on the restriction part.
Yeah.
Because it takes energy to go and restrict. A lot of energy.
The judgments, the shoulds, the coulds, the, oh, don't say that. Oh, they might not like this. That's all energy hits is what you're saying.
Yeah. And plus, whenever we have a thought of, should I say this or not? There's a body response. And that body response is energetically draining. That body response of tension, oh, that's not going to be good. Or this feeling of anxiety or nervousness, that is exhausting the energy. It's draining. So imagine if we don't have that. So now we have a lot more energy available for expression. That's the biggest difference. I started to unlock this about almost 4 years ago. It was starting to become more like this. And then almost about 4 years, because my son is 3.5, or he's a little over 3.5. And right before he was born, I discovered something. So in 2015, because I said I've been on this path for about 10 years, diving into all this stuff, I was practicing on being peaceful and to be clear and to be present. And I was able to move towards it, but there's always a level of anxiety. There's always a level of anxiousness. And I couldn't figure out how to get rid of it. And about 3.5 years ago, I was sitting with my wife. She was on the ground. I was standing up. We were in our bedroom. This is in Bali. And we're about to have the baby. She's 8 months pregnant.
Yeah.
And so she looks up to me and she goes, hey, so Mike, what are we going to do? You know, baby's coming. Our savings is running low. How are we going to, what are we going to do? And I look at her and I'm like, oh, well, don't worry. Here's what we're going to do. We're going to build the websites. We'll create the programs. We'll go ahead and get this out there and we'll do all this stuff. Yeah, don't worry. We got this. And she looks at me and she goes, well, Mike, you've been saying that for 3.5 years, but when are you going to do it?
Nice. Good partner. good partner.
Yeah. So I had my mouth open, my finger, and I was about to go and justify and kind of good comeback. And at that moment, I realized that I was being defensive and that there was no reason to be. And that what she said was the truth, that I was speaking for 3.5 years and haven't been doing much. I didn't work from a calendar. I barely had any meetings. I worked roughly about maybe 12 hours a week or less. I worked from anywhere, cafes and anything, just super, super laid back. We weren't making much money because I wasn't working much. And I purposely wanted that because I worked really hard before. And now I don't want to be working hard, bound to by a schedule.
Yeah.
Right. And so, but when she said that, I realized that was true. And so I looked at her, I put my finger down, I closed my mouth, and I just looked at her for a couple moments and I said, okay, I'm going to do it.
Yeah.
And then I walked out of the room and started working. And this was around 9 o'clock at night. And I started working till about 2 a.m. that night. And after that, I stopped and I went to sleep. Then the next morning, I woke up in the morning and I started to work. And I worked all the way till nighttime and I went to sleep. And I did that every single day.
Those scenes where two kung fu masters are about to fight, but they're warming up. And they're doing their own move. And this always, I just had that. They're good reference.